Over the past decade in football, we have seen an unbelievable young core of 16 and 17-year-olds take football by storm. But if you've been around long enough, you will know this is nothing new, because before Yamal and Hendrik's time, we had Alexandra, Pato, Jack, Wilshere, Bojan, teen stars with so much potential that only ended in short-term careers that nobody expected. But in today's football, the chances of a teen star having a short career have gone up, and the number one threat to players in today's game is none other than FIFA and UEFA's obsession with money. And I am pretty sure that Yamal's career is in danger of being cut shorter than most people realize. And recently, he posted and deleted a picture of a bloody foot after the game against Las Palmas. But 2 days later, he started and finished the game against Atletico Madrid in the Copa del Rey semis. Then the following game against Real Sociedad, he was seen wearing a lot of tape on his left hand. But you know what? I'm not going to say Yamal is paying through the use of painkillers at an early age of 17. But I will say I fear how the Spanish national team and Barcelona have heavily relied on him to win games. Because when I take the workload into consideration and sum it up with the increase in the amount of games being played, whether it's the FIFA Club World Cup or the new UEFA Champions League format, it will be a miracle if Yamal is still playing by the age of 28, and that's shorter than Jack Wilshere, who retired at age 30. Mind you, Jack was born in the same year as Mohamed Salah, but the way football uses teen stars is to the player's detriment. And what about former United player Federico Macheda, who was born on the same year as Virgil van Dijk, and the list goes on and on. And when I stumbled up on this trend of teenagers who retired such a young age, I asked myself, why is this not being talked about in football? And is there another sport with a similar history which will give us insight? And that question led me to the NBA, the most popular basketball league in the world. And by year 2006, the NBA took a stand and declared that no more will teams sign players younger than the age of 19 years old, stating that younger teens needed time to mature physically and young players were not ready for what was expected in the NBA in the mental aspect, a decision that the NBA took in order to protect young players from playing 82 games in a full season, which is excluding the extra games played in the playoffs. But when you compare that to Pedri's 2020-2021, when he played 73 games for Spain and Barcelona, you would think that the NBA players had more workload than football players. But once you look at the total minutes for a full NBA game, that's when you see the full picture. Because in the NBA season of 2020-2021, the player who played the most minutes in the NBA was Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who is said to have clocked a total of 2,804 minutes at an average of 34.2 minutes per game. But in Pedri's 73 games in the same season as Shai Gilgeous, he played 5,285 minutes at an average of 73 minutes per game, which is double that of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's minutes, a season that almost destroyed an 18-year-old Pedri. Because when the new season of 2021-2022 came around, Pedri's hamstring was the first muscle to let him know it had enough. The workload had started breaking down Pedri. As a result, that following season, he missed a total of 41 games, and since 2020-2021, he's had 11 injuries and a total of 88 missed games in the 4 seasons he's spent at Barcelona. But fast forward to year 2024, in the month of June, we got to see just how out of touch these football governing bodies are, because on the 12th of June in 2024, UEFA Champions League rolled out a new format which, instead of playing 6 games against 3 teams like the old group phase, now teams were required to play 8 games against 8 different teams, while every team is grouped on one league format. And when all the teams finished the 8 games required, teams between 1 and 8 would move on to the last 16, while teams that finished between position 9 and position 24 would be asked to play an extra round of 2 games in order to move on to the last 16, as we have seen with Manchester City and Madrid, who finished 11th and 22nd. Both teams had to play a 2-leg tie, and as a result of that, Mbappe has played 10 group games in the Champions League, which is 4 extra games played when compared to the old format of last year. And for players like Mbappe, Vini Jr., they won't see a vacation until the end of season 2026-2027, because after this current season's final competitive league game in Europe, being the Champions League final on the 31st of May, the Club World Cup kicks off on the 15th of June until the 13th of July. Then 3 weeks later, a new season of 2025-2026 begins with the UEFA Champions League, La Liga, domestic cups, and some World Cup qualifying games. And after that season's UEFA Champions League final on the May 30th in the Budapest, Hungary, then 10 days later, the attention will shift to the 2026 World Cup, starting on the 11th of June until the 19th of July 2026. But only 3.5 weeks later, a new season starts for 2026-2027 with the UEFA Super Cup on the 13th of August, followed by the UEFA Champions League, La Liga, international games in between. Then only after that season of 2026 and 2027 will these players get a rest, maybe a 2 months to fully recover. Then after that, it could be another 3 seasons of non-stop football. But since we know playing a lot of games brings injuries, I just want to ask this question: where is Yamal going to end up when at 17 he's playing highly demanding football every 3 days? And yes, he currently leads the La Liga in assists this season, which further proves that he actually belongs at this level of football, as it's very clear that in FIFA. After all, UEFA just recently signed a deal with Bet365, which is a gambling company. So could the betting companies be influencing the increase in games being played? Hence, the more games played equals more opportunity for gamblers to stay betting. But in whatever happens in the future, what I have discovered during making this video is that players are not friends with FIFA and UEFA. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Till next time, peace.